Well, loud noises! What's up? I'm Pete Last Guy, and this is Raw Emotion, where I take a look at this week's Monday Night Raw and I tell you a little bit about what I think and a lot about how I feel. And the feels all came rushing back at the beginning of this week's episode of Raw because I played a recap of what happened last week at the Festival of Friendship, and man, all those emotions just came surging right back, man. The editing team at WWE, I want to take this moment to say that these people, whoever's putting together these hype packages, you know, for Festival of Friendship, they did some for Bayley and Charlotte. They're so good. These hype packages are really, really good. They're effective. They're evocative. I love them. Good job, editing team. Yeah. Then it cuts to KO himself in the middle of a darkened ring with a single spotlight on him, sitting backwards in a chair wearing his suit and giving a really good promo. I mean, a really good promo. Honestly, Kevin Owens might be the best talker they have on the main roster right now. He's just that good at it. But, you know, he gives the promo. It's a fantastic promo. He's talking about how he's going to beat Goldberg, how Goldberg has this whole thing about he has to be a superhero for the kids, and KO's going to show those kids and everybody else out there that there's no such thing as superheroes. Ooh, so good. And then he teases us a little bit. He talks about, you know, as for Chris Jericho, doink. Leaves us hanging, leaves us wanting more, and Jericho doesn't show up for this entire rest of this episode of Raw, which I think is good. I think we should have some time to stew on that, especially since Kevin Owens is going into this feud, I guess, with Goldberg. So I think it's going to be, whenever it comes back, it's going to be something really special because it's going to be Chris Jericho, and he knows how to do his job and do it well. So I'm excited for that whenever it comes back. But the first actual match that we get this week is a #1 contenders match between Cesaro and Sheamus and Enzo and Cass for the tag team titles. And I may have said this before, but I feel like it bears mentioning again. I really like Sheamus and Cesaro's entrance now. You know, now that they're actually kind of, you know, working together and not, you know, squabbling as much. They've got a really cool intro when it goes right, when Cesaro doesn't have issues with his whole thing. But they face Enzo and Cass, and it's a good match. They're all good wrestlers involved. Enzo and Cass are good talkers, and they do the talking. But they weren't the only ones amusing me with their words. At one point, Cesaro, or Claudio, as Corey Graves accidentally called him, whoops, that's his real name. At one point, he's over on the barricades, and he's beating up on Enzo, and he responds to the crowd's "How you doing?" chants by going, "Yeah, how is he doing? Not well." But trash talk aside, that didn't really get them the match because Enzo and Cass ended up winning that after Cass miraculously didn't botch an East River crossing and then gets the pin. And then so now they're the #1 contenders. They get a tag team title shot against Gallows and Anderson at some point in the future. So looking forward to that. This is a better thing for Enzo and Cass to be doing. I'm so glad they're moving on to bigger and better things because that other angle, you know how I feel about it. You know how I feel. I don't like it is what I'm saying. I don't. And then after the match, Enzo, of course being Enzo, grabs his little, you know, customized leopard print mic and starts running his mouth long enough for Sheamus to land just a big old brogue kick right in that mouth. Woo! I love that. And so did the crowd. The crowd started chanting, "Thank you, Sheamus," after that, which maybe they're feeling a bit the way I'm feeling about Enzo and Cass these days, though I guess we'll see. But I like this booking better. It's going to a better place. But speaking of the tag team division, the tag team champs, Gallows and Anderson, they had their rematch with Roman Reigns, you know, from last week, where they ended up disqualifying themselves. They disqualified themselves. So this week they had a rematch again. And this time Roman was offered the chance to get select a partner, but he's like, "Nope, I'm going to take them on, one versus all." Hoo-ah. And just like last week, this match ended in a disqualification, but this time it was Roman disqualifying himself when he killed his opponents with a chair. He wails on him, and then he's disqualified, and then he counters a top rope dropkick into a spear, and it was all actually pretty good. I honestly, as weird as I think this booking is, and as silly as it seems to me, maybe they're going somewhere with it. I don't know where they could be going, but all that aside, I thought this match was really good. I thought everyone involved did a good job. Again, I'm a Roman advocate sometimes. Yeah. But moving on, now it's time to step into Cruiserweight Corner, and we had we were going to have a match between Brian Kendrick and Akira Tozawa. Brian Kendrick comes down all business, doesn't even no flashy entrance, doesn't do a lot of grandstanding, he just comes down the ramp holding his flag away, gets ready to fight. You're gonna do the handshake, but there's like a mix-up with the handshake. I don't know. Anyway, Kendrick ends up just kicking the crap out of Akira Tozawa and leaving. So, cool. Glad we changed everything to purple for that. And while we're in Cruiserweight Corner, let's talk about the Neville and Jack Gallagher contract signing. Gallagher's out there in the ring at the conference, the table is there for the contract signing, and the contract is on it, the pens are on it, and also a platter of tea and cookies. Tea and biscuits, that's what you call them over there, that's what Jack would call them. Neville will get tea and biscuits. And it's just the most ridiculously British thing I've ever seen, and I love it, but Neville, yeah, he doesn't seem to love it that much. After coming down and wordlessly signing the contract and attempting to leave and being called back into the ring by Jack, he goes off on his own promo on Jack Gallagher and calls him a caricature. He says, people like you, this is not real. What you are is not real. You're a cartoon character. The people out there, they're not laughing with you. They're laughing at you. Okay? And it ends like you'd expect any contract signing to end. They fight. They fight. Contract signing. What are you going to do? Not going to say much about this because there's not much to say about it, but the team of Rusev and Jinder Mahal took on the New Day this week, and it was more ice cream-based shenanigans. In this case, Lana hacked and stole the plans for the ice cream because she's Russian. Get it? We're all terrified. We're all terrified. But it was goofy, it was fun. I mean, I do wish the New Day was doing something beyond just like, hey, merchandise. But I guess that's kind of been their thing for a while, and there was just more prestige to it because they were the champs. But this was okay, There was a silly moment where the Xavier with the trombone and scared Lana. She's like, oh no! What was that voice? That's not what Lana sounds like. Yet, I guess. But she tosses the iPad and he catches it and he breaks it, and it's a whole thing. It was announced, though, that the New Day will be hosting WrestleMania, and which I honestly think is probably a pretty good thing. This is right in their wheelhouse. That's exactly the kind of thing they should be doing, hosting. And I know that means they're not going to get a match necessarily, but something crazy is going to happen. They're going to get into a fight with somebody. I don't know who, but they're going to be involved physically with somebody else at WrestleMania beyond just hosting. So I think ultimately it's going to be a good thing. I'm excited to have the New Day host WrestleMania. I think that's a great idea. So Charlotte demanded on Twitter that Bayley relinquish her women's title because she won it dishonestly, she won it by cheating, and that's never accepted in WWE. Never even once. Not once. Never. But Bayley comes out into the ring to answer Charlotte's demands, and of course is interrupted by Steph McMahon, who comes in to basically tell her all the reasons why Charlotte is right to demand that and why it's the right thing to do for a good person to hand that title back, to relinquish it. You're a good person, right, Bayley? That's your whole thing? You're good. You're incorruptibly good. So do the right thing. And Bayley looks all agonized, like she's, oh no, like, oh man, it is the right thing to do. It really is. But, haha, no. I'm not giving you this title back. It's mine. That's it. So, a little heelish, tweenerish type of thing, but she's Bayley. She's so over as a babyface, and her whole thing is so anti-heel that she's allowed, one or two things like that to just seem more like she's a tough champion, like she's a fighter. So I think that was okay. It was a little drawn out, the segment was, but I'm okay with it. And that segment led us into the next match, because at one point Sasha also came out to, we basically had Stephanie and Sasha, Angel Demon on the shoulder, telling Bayley, what she should or shouldn't do, and Charlotte eventually came out as well, and her and Sasha exchanged some words, and Steph made a match. I think somebody made a match between Charlotte and Sasha. I know they're not supposed to fight anymore, but neither were Sammy and Kevin, and well, we'll get to that later, but they made that match between Charlotte and Sasha, and it's starting right now! That's my Stephanie McMahon. I'm working on it, okay? But that was a great match. There's a lot of really good counters, a lot of cool chain wrestling. Dana Brooke tried to interfere, of course, but then Bayley comes to interfere with the interference. But Sasha ended up getting the win. So let's move on to what I was talking about a second ago with Sami and Kevin Owens. Of course, the match backstage was made earlier in the night by Mick Foley. He tells Kevin Owens, hey, you can't leave. You've got a match against Sami Zayn tonight. And KO is basically like, man, I thought you cared about Sami. Like, I thought you didn't want him hurt. Basically, he says, I'm going to start shelving wrestlers. You keep sending dudes at me. I'm going to start hurting them. I'm going to start putting them on the shelf. And you're going to have more people on the injured list than you have active on the roster. But the match is booked anyway, and before it begins, of course, Sami has a promo that he's cutting, and he's talking about Samoa Joe, and he's talking about Kevin Owens and how they're similar, and he basically talking trash about Samoa Joe because that's the feud right now. And again, surprise Joe as he's trying to get, boom, you got Joe'd. Trademark. And Joe beats everything out of Sami, and Sami, of course, being the Iron Man, the guy who always fights no matter what, insists on the match, insists on still having it, and predictably ends up getting pinned in short order by Kevin Owens. So that was that. That was good, you know? This builds the feud between Sami and Joe, which is good because I feel like this must have been kind of a sudden last-minute scramble because they didn't expect Seth Rollins to get re-injured, and I think this was supposed to be a Joe versus Seth feud, and then they had to change it at the last minute to Joe versus Sami, and I think they're coming into it pretty strong, and I think they're doing a good job of building that. So, yeah, I'll take it. Especially because Joe's whole thing is beating people until they can no longer continue, and Sami's whole thing is getting beaten to the point where he should no longer be able to continue, and then does. You just had that whole angle with Braun Strowman, and so I think it's going to be a similar thing here, but with a new face like Joe, and it gives him some exposure, so cool. Little backstage segment I want to talk about. Mick Foley finally kind of stands up and emasculates Stephanie for once, and is, you know, standing up for himself. He's in her face about it, and she, of course, doesn't take this well, and essentially threatens to kill him, injure him. I don't know. She, you know, it would be a shame if you had an accident. My Stephanie is not getting much better, is it? I'll work on it. So whatever that is, whatever that's leading to, I don't know. Maybe it could be interesting. It could be an authority figure storyline that is actually interesting. So I'm gonna hold out hope that maybe it will be. But now we have another backstage segment. Specifically a Michael Cole interview with the two angriest potatoes they could find, Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, and of course the Michael Cole aspect of this does not last very long, because shortly into the interview, Brock Lesnar just kind of gets up and walks towards Michael Cole, and then Cole just scurries away as quickly as he can. Lesnar takes his chair, sets it up right in front of the camera, and just stares into the lens, looking mean, while Paul Heyman does what he does best, back behind him, which is, again, that's a good thing, because what Brock Lesnar does best outside of the ring is looking mean. He's not a great talker, but Paul Heyman, what he does best is talking. So you got, right here in the forefront, you got Brock Lesnar doing what he does best, and then back here you got Paul Heyman over his shoulder doing what he does best. It was a little weird. This episode was really heavy on extreme close-ups of heels that happened to Kevin Owens during his opening promo as well, several times, but, you know, beyond the maybe questionable camera work, I thought it was a cool segment. I thought it was a real cool piece of the story that they're building between Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. And then our main event, Braun Strowman versus Big Show, which is a match that when you hear it announced, you think it's just going to be, you know, one of those big guy matches. All the big guy spots with a lot of in between, just, you know, to give the big dudes time to recover, and there was a little bit of that, but it was executed well, and again, these are two really good dudes. Big Show is slimmed down a lot and is doing really good work, especially for this point in his career, for how long he's been doing this, and it was a good match overall. It was impressive, is what it was. I mean, these guys were chain wrestling, and at one point, Braun Strowman kicked up. He kicked up. Nipped up, they're calling it now. Some people are calling it nipping up. He kicked up. He did the thing where you're on your back and you kick your legs and then you're on your feet. That thing. And granted, it was kind of during a chain wrestling sequence, so Big Show had his arm, and that was probably part of what helped him get to his feet, but it still looked impressive, and it's the fact that Braun Strowman can do this. I'm more of a mark for this guy every every week. Further feats of strength from Braun Strowman, he also kicked out of both the chokeslam and the knockout punch, which generally doesn't happen. I mean, the chokeslam, people kick out of that fairly frequently, I guess, but the knockout punch, you don't see a lot of people kicking out of that, and so it was a good way to build Braun Strowman as the beast that he's been pushed as, and of course he ends up winning this match, this big beardy match. Power slam Big Show. Big Show kicks out of that, which I think since Braun's Raw debut after the brand split, I think Big Show was the first person ever to kick out of that move, so that's wow. But that didn't end up mattering much because he ends up eating another power slam from Braun Strowman that he does not kick out of. 1, 2, 3, that's the match. And hey, look, it's Roman. Cool. Roman comes out again to antagonize Braun Strowman at the end of his match. And you think maybe because the last time he did this, Braun Strowman ended up with the upper hand. You got your 50-50 booking, so Reigns is going to come out on top with this one. No. Is again with the Superman punches. And then again with the attempted spear, and this time, that spear was countered not into a running power slam, but into that crazy drop kick that Strowman is somehow able to do. And then Roman Reigns, comes off worse for wear, and Braun Strowman is victorious in the ring, and so Reigns just can't seem to get the upper hand on Strowman, and so I'm not sure if this is building to Reigns eventually actually beating him clean, which I don't want Reigns to be the first one to do that. Maybe if they do it right, it could maybe work. I can see that, but I don't want it to happen. Maybe just because I love Braun so much. I just never want to see him lose clean. I don't know. Maybe that's it. Who's to say? I'm a mark. But that was Raw this week. Pretty good. I didn't quite measure up completely to last week, but last week was really, really, really good. So you can't expect necessarily to hit that bar again, but I thought it was a good way to follow it up. There was a little bit of repeat. There was a little bit of sameness, it felt like, with the New Day being goofy with the ice cream again, and then the just straight up rematch between Gallows and Anderson and Roman Reigns. But all that said, I thought it was a pretty darn good episode of Raw. So let me know what you thought right here in the comments. Tell me where you think these storylines should go. Give that like button a click. Be sure to share this video with other people you know who like wrestling. And don't forget to subscribe for more weekly wrestling content. It means we do this every week. You know what weekly means. Why do I tell you? You have to have catchphrases. It's branding. It's branding, okay? It's business. It's what's best for business. But that is it. So I've been Pete Last Guy, you've been a delight, and this match is over in 1, 2. But Sasha ended up getting the win, and honestly, Kevin Owens might be. It's the rematch from last week's DQ ending match, starting again, and it's just the most goofily. That's not a word. But ultimately, it didn't end up meaning much because he ate another power slam from Braun Strowman. Hi, I'm Braun Strowman. No.